COVID-19 was spreading rapidly across the country. We had shut down schools at the end of the last school year. We were thinking about whether we would open or not. We did look at virtual learning just because that was one way to keep our children and the educators safe. But it really was, at that point in time, a week-to-week discussion and conversation.
Aloha and good afternoon.
The GEERS funds became available, and we convened a group of advisors with many stakeholders represented. This was the most flexible funds that the federal government was providing as part of their COVID-19 relief funds. And we wanted to make sure that we should look for the opportunities that the funds would be most impactful. How can it change the trajectory of education? How can we make sure that it is more than just the immediate response to COVID-19?
Thank you everyone for joining me here at the historic Washington Place. I think it's quite appropriate that we have this conversation on the GEERS, the Governor's Emergency Education Relief Fund grants, and all the great things that are happening with this program. It is a very innovative approach to grants and what schools can do in their classrooms and at their schools. So I'm really excited to talk and share with all of you about what's going on with the GEERS program and what can we expect. Daryl, if you can share with me, what was the approach that you took or the advisory team took with this whole program?
Governor Iggy's vision for education and for the future of Hawaii's economy has been focused on innovation. Should we use the funds like many states did for PPE or for things related to COVID? Or you could be innovative. Our charge was how can we maximize the use of these resources and support innovation at a time when most people were not thinking about innovation.
Because we were taking a different approach to grant applications, we actually ended up with 208 applicants that applied for the GEER funding. We came up with 74 out of the 208 that was forwarded on. We had international consultants as well as local educational experts review these 74 presentations, and out of the 74, 31 were selected.
So Steve, what was it like for an applicant to go through this process? What did they have to do and who did they have to present to?
So as an applicant, we really focused on making it as easy as possible. We wanted to break the mold on what it's like to get a federal grant. So we really wanted folks to take a more of an approach just to focus on their big idea, their one big idea related to COVID, and crystallize that down into, we had 5 slides that they gave within 15 minutes to a panel of the 3 expert judges that Karen talked about. So for the applicant, we're hoping to create a sense of comfort where they could explore that space and put them in a more creative and innovative mindset.
You know, Asset Schools is one of the awardees, and they have an exciting project that they've completed about 2 months ago. Can someone share about their approach to this grant and what their project is?
So Asset's big idea from the very beginning, I think that caught the panel's attention right away, was that they wanted to have a place where they could capture the needs of the students in real time. So they're calling it the Transforming Lives Center, where any child in Hawaii can get tested for what their social emotional needs might be and what their learning needs are, whether it's an accelerated learning need or whether it's another type of special need, to have that identified free of charge for any parent. That institution where that child goes to school will be armed with the information to be more proactive in helping those children.
We've all kind of had a formatted way of learning the schools because it was kind of created around the time of the Industrial Revolution by business people. It hasn't served all children as effectively as it could have. We have so many children in our state who learn differently. So for years and years, we have wanted to have a place where we could help with assessments to make sure that our kiki are getting the type of education that's going to work best for their success for the long term. No other school in Hawaii can provide the individualized and specialized education that takes place at our two beautiful campuses. The Transforming Lives Center was a natural next step for us, one we've been aspiring to for quite a long time. We look at all aspects of learning. We're looking at physical, neurological, scientific, all of the things that comprise who we are as learners. Those things will be assessed, and we're very excited. We have a really top-notch professional, Dr. Elsa Lee, coming in to head this for us, and she's an expert in this field. And so we feel like we're ready to go to help children for the long term.
Students with specific learning disabilities drop out of school nearly 3 times the rate of all students. So as a teacher, it was important for me to understand a child's academic challenge, which can be best identified through assessment.
Children who come in here, they just felt like they were failures. They felt like they couldn't learn the way other children learned, and it made them feel bad about themselves. It made them, anxious, and it affected their whole family. You see in just a relatively short time, when we teach them the way they need to learn, it transforms them. It transforms them, and it gives me chills to think of all the young people in our state who could benefit, and more will be benefiting now that we can test them and make sure they get the services they need and the education they need.
When we look at where we came from, we were in the midst of a COVID crisis, a global crisis, working in an atmosphere of fear, of uncertainty. For many, there is a sense of helplessness. Can we look at this opportunity, and instead of being about fear, we're going to be about inspiration. Instead of being about helplessness, it's going to be about self-efficacy and collective efficacy.
And hope.
And hope.
Education is the most important function that state government provides. This opportunity to empower educators at the front lines to come up with the best ideas for how to recover learning loss, to look at how to maximize the situation that we were in, and really deliver a program that allows students to pursue their dreams, I do think will have a lasting impact on public education in Hawaii.